I'm going to start recording for those of your team who couldn't make it. But I'm really excited, first of all, because I love Scottie's team. I love Scottie's story, and I love that they're having a diamond retreat just 4 hours south of me. I'm a little offended that I wasn't invited, but whatever, we'll let it slide. I'm super stoked that you guys get to talk to Meagan in this intimate setting. So I will start by telling you guys that when I met Meagan, first of all, a huge fan of Meagan's. We met during a super weekend, and we went to a market council dinner. And I love telling this story, but I had known, we both actually knew that she was working on this program on the MBF, and it hadn't been announced yet. And so everyone at dinner was like, Meagan, when are you going to have your own program? And it's got to be coming up soon. And we just kind of like looked over at each other and we're like, yeah, that would be really cool. But low key, we were like geeking out because we knew this was coming. And I am just thrilled that around every corner, Meagan, this program is breaking all kinds of records, and people are just loving it. And it's giving especially women so much permission to be okay with building muscle and understanding what it does for our bodies. So I will let you take this away and kind of introduce kind of the thought behind this program. And then I think we can open it up to questions since we're such a small group, if that's okay with you. So I'm actually going to let you take it away and just kind of do what you want to do.
I love it. So first of all, thank you guys so much for taking the time to chat with me tonight about MBF. I always say I made the program, but you guys are the ones that take this into your communities, lead people by the hand through this program, through the nutrition programs. You guys are the ones that really get people results. It's not so much about the workout, it's about the support and the accountability that you guys provide. So I just appreciate you guys so much for taking the time. So I usually start by telling a little bit about my story, and some of you may have heard this story already, but I think it's a big part of, why I create the programs that I do create. And I think it's a better connection between, me to you guys, if you know, where I came from, what my background is, and how I came to Beachbody. So we'll keep it the short version, hopefully, maybe. And then we'll talk a little bit about the program, and then we'll open it up for questions, since I know many of you have been doing the program, so we don't need to necessarily hit on the nuts and bolts, and we can get a little bit deeper into any of the things that you guys, have questions about. So I got started in health and fitness when I was very young. I was 14 when I decided to do fitness and figure competitions. And when people hear that, they assume that my family is very healthy and fit, because why would a 14-year-old decide that she wants to be a bodybuilder if that wasn't the case? But I don't know why. That was just me. And so I kind of fell into doing these competitions, but my family was anything but healthy and fit. I was just a very active kid, and I was outworking my family's poor eating habits. I've been telling this story that my mother would probably be horrified to find out I've been saying, but my family used to call the pizza, call out for pizza multiple times a week. We were big pizza eaters. And so one day my family decides we can't eat any more pizza. We need to eat healthier. We're not calling the pizza company anymore. And a couple weeks had gone by before the phone rings one night, and it's the pizza place. And they're like, Mr. and Mrs. Davies, are you okay? And my parents are like, yeah, we're okay. What's going on? And they're like, well, you haven't called us in so long that we got concerned about you. Since you're okay, was it something that we did? Can we send you over a free pie? And we always joke about this moment, because when the pizza company is doing a welfare check on you, you know that you have problems. And that was us. And then when we would decide that we wanted to eat healthier, we really didn't know what that would look like. And so we ended up doing a lot of anything with the word diet, fat-free, sugar-free on it. I grew up on a lot of diet soda, fat-free, Hot Pockets, sugar-free Pop-Tarts. These were all staples of my diet growing up. And, those are really empty calories, empty processed calories. And so at some point we would get to the point where we were feeling hungry all the time, we were starving. And so at some point we would just start calling the pizza company back up again. And so I watched my family kind of go on this roller coaster ride of gaining weight and losing weight and not really knowing how to make this change once and for all. And like I said, the only reason I wasn't on that roller coaster ride of weight gain was because I was so active, and I was 14. So I had that 14-year-old's metabolism, and I was very active. And so as I got older, I had been competing for several years. I sat down with my family at one of my shows. I went out to say hi to them during intermission. I sat down next to my dad, and I looked at him and I said, Daddy, I feel so sorry for you. And at the time I was like 17 years old. So he's like, what does my 17-year-old daughter feel sorry for me for? He was 47 years old at the time. He was about 100 pounds overweight. He had a host of health issues due to his weight. It didn't actually occur to me that my dad was overweight at the time. I had no idea. What I did know, though, was that he was killing himself every single day. He was working himself to the bone. He was stressed out all the time. He was doing everything for everybody else and nothing for himself. I did grow up with the encyclopedia of Arnold Schwarzenegger in my house, so I got this from somewhere. He just wasn't doing these things for himself anymore, and that's where I was coming from. And so at that moment, he decided that he needed to make the change too. And so at 47, he decided that he wanted to lose the weight, not only lose the weight, but he wanted to do a competition with me. He wanted to become a bodybuilder. So he gave himself, by the time he was 50, he said, I'm going to give myself 3 years. And in the first year, he lost almost all the weight. He lost almost 100 pounds in that first year, but he still didn't look like a bodybuilder because he did it in all the ways he always used to lose weight. He basically starved himself down and spent hours in the gym doing cardio. And so he was kind of got to that end of that first year and said, but I still don't look like a bodybuilder. And so he realized that he needed to actually learn about nutrition, how to fuel his body for appropriate workouts to build muscle. At the same time, I always like to kind of pause there and say it was just as important for me to learn about nutrition at this point as it was for my dad, who needed to lose weight and gain muscle, was kind of coming from the opposite end of the spectrum. I looked like the epitome of health and fitness at the time. I had the muscle on me. I had the six pack. I was competing several times a year. I had cut out all healthy fats out of my diet because I also had no idea what I was doing with my diet. I would go backstage and ask other competitors what they were doing and try to implement it more and more on my own at home. But I got good information and I got bad information. And so I cut out all healthy fats. I cut my body fat down dangerously low. And so my hair was falling out. My cycle was messed up. And I just like pointing out the fact that just because you see abs on somebody does not mean that they are healthy and fit. Could mean that they are healthy and fit. It's not always a direct correlation. Sometimes we idolize those people, especially with Instagram and social media and everything, and you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And for me, chaos was going on behind the scenes. I was anything but healthy and fit. And so it was just as important for me to learn about nutrition as it was for my dad losing 100 pounds and putting on some muscle. And so we started learning about nutrition together. My mom got involved. Her thing was always dance. So she started dancing to lose weight. My brother was always more of a gamer, more sedentary, and he is still a gamer to this day, but now just also strength trains. And so we started really making the change as a family, to the point where my dad did get on that stage by the time he hit 50. His goal was not to embarrass himself, he always says, but he ended up winning the men's over 50 masters division. He won first place in his division. And it was just kind of like this big, like cherry on top moment. I got to go out and give him his trophy, his first place trophy on the stage. And it was just like this moment where my entire family kind of came together and like realized that we had did it. We actually made this change once and for all. And then just like you guys see that, you know, you start sharing your journey and the changes that you're seeing, and people want to do this as well. They want to see this changes for themselves. They want to see the changes for their family. And that's what happened to us. This was before social media, and people just started asking us, well, how do we do that? And so we started training people in my dad's garage. We would do nutrition classes in my parents' living room. And slowly that grew so big that we opened up a gym together. So that's kind of my day-to-day life, is I own a gym with my family in South Florida, and we've had the gym for 9 years now. And my mom is our office manager and our dance teacher. Both my brother and my dad are trainers as well now. And when I'm not teaching Beachbody or creating Beachbody programs, then I'm there teaching as well. But that's my day to day. And in 2016, I got the opportunity to join Beachbody through the reality show called The 20s, which was the, search for the next Beachbody super trainer. The reality show is still on BOD for you guys to watch. And there was a lot of different challenges within that reality show that we had to do. Going into the reality show, first of all, I didn't want to do the reality show, because if there's one thing you guys can know about me, it's that I am an introvert, super introverted. And so when they asked me to do the reality show, I was like, no, I do not want to do a reality show. That sounds like my nightmare. Second time they called me to do the reality show, they said, it's for Beachbody. And I said, I don't know what that is, and I don't want to do a reality show. And third time's a charm, they called me and I said, well, they're not going to pick me for this show anyway. So if they're going to keep asking me, I'll just send in these videos. And so I sent in the videos, and then kind of to my horror, they picked me. And so I went into this reality show having a lot of, misconceptions about what an online fitness company would look like. Being a trainer now for probably close to 10 years at that point, I just kind of figured that, what is in this Shakeology anyway? Like, there's probably a lot of garbage in there, or these workouts are just trying to make people throw up. They're probably starving people down with those nutrition programs just to get those before and after pictures. Like, I came in with every misconception in the book, and through the reality show, all of those misconceptions started getting torn down. I was actually drinking Shakeology, plus there was a challenge where we had to learn all about Shakeology. So I got to feel the difference that it made in my body, while also realizing that there was no junk in Shakeology. We were doing all of the workout programs because we had nothing else to occupy our time. We were stuck in a house. We had no cell phones, no internet, no TV, no music, no nothing besides BOD. So I did all of the fitness programs since before Core de Force was about to come out. We did everything. So I realized that the workout programs were great, that there's something for everybody, that there's a modifier. And then nutrition, we were in the kitchen every single day, using all the recipes and the meal plans that came with the programs, and really realizing that they weren't trying to starve people down. This is a holistic approach where they have all of the components to helping people make a healthy lifestyle change. And I slowly came to realize that instead of being like, I don't know about what all this is, to this is the company that my family needed way back then when we decided we wanted to eat healthier and thought that that meant diet soda. This is what we needed, is somebody to guide us through this process, and give us all these puzzle pieces that we were missing. And so I kind of went from being very hesitant and kind of getting dragged into the reality show to being like, okay, I have to be a part of this company. And so after the 20s, we came out with Clean Week, which was basically to introduce people into Beachbody the same way I needed to be introduced into Beachbody. With the Shakeology sampler pack, with the workouts, we talk about other programs during that program so they can start to realize that there is this umbrella company of Beachbody, but there's so many different options for them. It's really to get people moving again. And then on top of that, they get a really simple meal plan to follow. So it's really to show people, and they get introduced into Team Beachbody as well, and the accountability and support. So it's not only great for your new customers coming in because they get introduced to all of this, but it's also great for your new coaches, who sometimes that first challenge group, those first couple of challenge groups can be very intimidating, especially if it's a longer challenge group and they're like, how am I supposed to lead somebody through this? Even though they've seen it a million times. I go through the same thing when I'm training new coaches for my gym, because we usually have members that become coaches. And I'm like, you've been doing this workout for 3 years. And they're like, I can't coach this. It's a whole different ballgame when you're on the other side of it, which I know. And so I think that Clean Week is a great way for your new coaches to kind of get their feet wet in helping people through a new program. And plus it's free. So it also gives them the opportunity to kind of get a warm pool of people that are interested in doing a workout program, so they can start talking to those people more about, doing other programs and getting signed up in challenge packs and everything like that. So as much as Clean Week was like, I love it for what it's for, who it's for, how it impacts the Beachbody community. But I also knew that like there was like my program that I wanted. And if there's anything that I use within my own workouts and my clients' workouts, it's lifting heavy and moving fast. These are the two things that I know to be super effective in not only getting people results, but also maintaining those results. If we spend hours doing cardio all the time and we're not building that muscle up, we're not going to have that built up metabolism. We're constantly going to be in that rat race, just like I saw my parents in for many, many years. They would go to the gym and do cardio and cardio and cardio. And so when we build the muscle up, we raise our metabolism up, and it's much easier to maintain those results once we start getting that muscle on our body. So I think that's a really important key part of this program too. So we created, 2 3-week traditional strength training programs. They're set to the beat of some music. I had never taught to music before, so that was a whole new ball game for me. But I love it because it added the intensity and the it keeps you honest, because that beat is going to start and you're going to be done with your rest time. Like there's no more rest time than that. So I think the music element actually elevated my own training on top of me just making it, I think it made the workout program really fun. Like I think, it's over before you even know it. So the music is great. We have the bod ropes as our new piece of equipment. That's definitely something that we want to hit on. I know they're on back order, but that is only a layer of the program, a great layer. They're important. And I think once people get them in their hands, it's going to add something to it, but it's not the workout program. And you are still going to get great results without. And you can air rope, or you can put tennis balls in socks. I've seen so many different things of people getting innovative to make it work. And all of those things will work, and you will get incredible results, not only for yourself, but for your customers as well. And when they get those bod ropes, they get to do another round. They get to lift heavier. They get to have that extra layer of the bod ropes. It's only going to make it that much more. And I see a comment from Mary saying no weights though. So that's the one thing that I'm telling people not to do, is to hold dumbbells in their hands. It just doesn't move in the same way. And what I'm imagining from holding a dumbbell in your hand and jumping up and down constantly is a lot of shoulder impingement issues and things like that. So I wouldn't recommend dumbbells. Those bod ropes are only like a half a pound each. So while they add something substantial, they're not actually like weighted, like, I see people using 2 to 5 pounds as their bod ropes. No. So something that swings, something like I said, like socks with tennis balls in them or something like that is going to work great though. So get innovative and just make sure that the key thing there is just getting started. And then I just lastly want to challenge you guys to pick up the heavier dumbbells, whatever that means for you. Everybody asks me, well, how much weight should I be using? What does light, medium, and heavy look like? Well, that's all going to be relative according to you, of course. But I would say if you are the person that typically uses like 5/8 and 10s, one of the things that was driving me crazy was people were telling me, well, I've done 5 Beachbody programs now and I've used my 5/8 and 10s. And I'm like, you've done 5 programs and we haven't moved to 12s or 15s at any point? I want you to challenge yourself outside of that comfort zone. So it doesn't have to be day one and it doesn't have to be every day. But if you've been using the 5/8 and 10s, then I want you to eventually start picking up those 12s or 15s and using them more frequently within your workout. And when you get used to those, picking up the 17.5s or the 20s and getting used to those. And I know finding weights is a challenge right now. So on top of that, just do your best. If you can't find the heavier dumbbells, use what you got. Again, starting is half the battle, and you're going to see incredible results in this program. So, I think we want to open up for questions too. I know that, like I said, you guys have been doing the program and know the nuts and bolts. So if you have any questions for me, I'd love to hear them and answer them.
Meagan, you're amazing. And I actually will start out with the first question, because I know it's always like, oh, who's going to ask the first question? It's kind of, and I do want to say we have about 10 minutes because this call is supposed to be 30. So we want to definitely respect your time. My first question is, I had an experience last week where I spoke to a coach that's over 50. She started into this business later in life after she had had her children and her parents were older, and hearing you with your parents and the struggles that they had after they had established their eating habits, I'm just curious, like what kind of where is your headspace around that as far as like, I guess people with established eating habits, right? Because people, you know, that are just kind of starting out their families, it's a little bit easier to say, oh, I'm going to give them green beans instead of French fries and things like that. But when you're having to rebuild those traditions, and you've seen your family do that, so I'm curious, like, what do you have to say about that?
It was definitely hard because, you know, one thing that my dad likes to say is like, we don't come from small people. Like, you know, like everybody in my family, we like to eat. We like to eat a lot. Like, you know, everybody in my family. Yeah. So that's one thing that my dad likes to say. And that was our traditions. That was our values, is we're always, you know, going to come together over food. My dad used to say he would get home from school when he was younger and they would be like, well, what kind of day did you have at school? Oh, I had a great day. Great. Here's a piece of cake to celebrate. Or he could come home and they'd be like, what kind of day at school was it? And he'd be like, oh, it was a horrible day. I got a bad grade on a test and I got in trouble today. And they're like, oh, that's too bad. Here's a piece of cake. Like anything was like that you were going to turn to food to either celebrate or to turn to food for comfort. Either way, you were turning to food. And so that's the eating habits that he grew up with and had throughout his life. And so it was hard making those transitions. And especially when my family, my immediate family made those transitions, it wasn't necessarily that the rest, the aunts, the uncles, and everybody else also made those transitions. A lot of them didn't. And so when we would go to their house, sometimes it would create issues. So I think that it was hard all around. I think when it would create those issues, we really had to kind of sit down with our family and talk to them about like, you know, we love you guys. We want to see you guys. And, you know, we're going to be there for Thanksgiving and holidays and all the good things. But we're trying to make this change, and we would also like you to respect that change. So I think it comes with some hard times, you know, and some hard talks, but definitely worth it at the end of the day too.
Fully agree. And it's so beautiful that we get to create that legacy for our own family, no matter where we are in life. You know, if we have grandkids, it's like, cool, we can start there and make those little adjustments.
For
So
sure.
I'm going to open it up to questions. You guys that are on the Zoom can unmute. Scottie, you guys can unmute. Let's try and not talk over each other. Scottie, do you guys have questions over there in the living room? Anybody on Zoom?
Hi, this is Liliana. I don't have a question, but I just want to congratulate Meagan for the awesome program. And I just want to tell her that my son loves it. I have a son, he's only 10, and he loves it. And he started having results, and I'm going to post the results.
Yeah, I love that. And especially, like I said, because my family made this transformation together, that's like so exciting to me to see other families coming together to do this program. It means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, you're awesome. That's all. And I'm from Parkland. I'm your neighbor. I'm so proud of you.
Coral Springs.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of our little neighborhood.
Little Florida. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So awesome, a 10-year-old. Okay, was I talking over someone? I'm sorry. No? Okay, who else? More questions? Scottie, yes.
Scottie has one.
Okay, we have a question, and Joe's going to ask.
I don't know where I'm at. I know they're both amazing nutrition programs. I'm just curious which one you prefer, which one you would use, like if you were going through this as a challenger.
Yep. So I get that question a lot. And, you know, personally, I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I've been training myself for 20 years and I've been a trainer for, I don't even know how many years now, but it's been a long time. So, you know, I kind of came into Beachbody already with my set regimen of what I do. Once I kind of got a look at UPF, I think UPF is something that I definitely do it at certain points in my life. I would say if I'm really trying to dial in, like I used to compete a lot. If I was trying to dial in for a competition, then I was measuring all of my food and counting macros and doing all of that. So, I think that 21 Day Fix or UPF has a lot of the components that I do for dialing in. Once To Be Mindset came out, and even reading Alana's book lately, I realized that that's kind of my day-to-day though. So I don't day-to-day use my containers anymore unless I'm really trying to kind of dial in for a certain thing. But I will say that I do like drink water like before I work out, before my meals, or eat my vegetables first and then start like prioritizing other things. So I think that Alana's program has a lot of things that I do day to day. And then if I feel like my portions are starting to get a little bit out of control is when I kind of go back to UPF. I always say, like, if I'm going to give advice for somebody who's just starting out, I wouldn't give the advice to kind of pick and choose which components of each program that you would want to do. I would master one program first for like an entire year, even not like, okay, I went through one cycle of doing UPF and now I'm going to switch. I don't think that that's mastering anything. So I'm talking about doing it for like an entire year, knowing the ins and outs, getting great results with one of the programs, and then maybe taking a look at the other program and mastering those too, because I think both bring certain elements to the table that can help everybody in their day-to-day lives. I don't think that one program is going to give better results than the other as far as for your customers and challengers. I think you need to take a look at what is best going to fit in each individual person's lifestyle. Because definitely something I've come to know just in dealing with my own customers and clients is that if I have somebody who has a lot of food issues and a lot of anxiety built up around food, putting them into something like UPF where they're measuring out all their food is going to just add to that anxiety. And maybe they stick with it through the 6 weeks of MBF and MBFA. Maybe they get great results. But at some point, it's going to be like, whew, I am so glad that that's over with, and they're going to throw it out the window because they're not going to be able to sustain it. But if they did something like To Be Mindset, where it's a little bit more intuitive and not as anxiety driven for them and their particular needs, I think that they're going to have a lot more success with that. And at the same turn, you're going to get people who come in that want that, they want to be told what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat. And that kind of structure is going to be better suited for UPF. So I think you really just need to talk to your customers and get to know them and what's best suited for their lifestyle. Because especially when it comes to nutrition, I want the long term. I don't want them just focused on the 6 weeks. I want them doing that program through this 6 weeks and the next year. Like I said, I want them to have those building blocks for success. So it's not so much like what I do. Like, I want each individual person to find the path that's going to work the best for them.
Awesome. Cool. Any other questions from you?
No. You want to tell her that she has nice teeth and eyebrows, like you said?
You can ask questions about the workouts.
They're admiring your teeth.
I have a question.
So, go ahead.
How was it to do a program virtually?
It was interesting. And at first, I was nervous. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I didn't know how it was going to look. Obviously, when we announced this program and through the beginning phases of creating this program, we created it around kind of having the biggest cast ever and the biggest set ever, and having a lot of just energy on set. And so when COVID and quarantine happened, that wasn't even the first pivot. There was many pivots in between there where we're like, okay, well, we can make this small change, or like the cast just kept getting like smaller and smaller and smaller. Like, okay, well, we can have 10 people. Okay, we can have 5 people. Maybe it's just Meagan and a modifier. Like, we went through so many different avenues, and then we went from the biggest set ever to probably the smallest set ever. And a million different other moving pieces behind the scenes too, some that I didn't even know about, that we had to work through as well. And so I kind of came up with the motto for myself just to keep myself focused through this past year of despite all obstacles, because it really just seemed like we would take 2 steps forward to get knocked back 3 steps, like at every other turn, with COVID and everything going on. And I came to realize that that's not just me, that's everybody. Everybody's in the same boat, dealing with the same things, having their life kind of flipped upside down. And so we kind of brought that motto into the test groups and success starters, and they kind of ran with despite all obstacles too. But it was definitely interesting having everybody on that Zoom call, because I have a little piece in my ear also where somebody's telling me like, okay, you have 2 more counts and then this move is coming up. So I have somebody talking to me in my head, and then I have the music playing where I'm still trying to keep count on. And then I'm trying to keep focus on my workouts and talking to you guys and cueing. And then also the cast is talking to me. It was a lot. But I think at the end of the day, I think people really connect with it because they are at home. They don't have a cast and crew. They didn't have hair and makeup. Like, they are there every single day by themselves in their house, showing up to their workout. So I think it really makes a cohesive group experience, as if you were in a group workout. These people are in their homes just like you are. It shows that it can be done in these, smaller spaces or whatever the situation that you have going on. We had, Pauler, his roommate kept coming down. I'm like, being in the background, getting a bowl of cereal. Like, these are like normal things that are happening. These were not sets. So I think it actually ended up being just the way it was supposed to be, kind of like a blessing in disguise, and ended up working out.
I, for one, absolutely love it, because it's like, oh my gosh, they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. And like, look, she totally had to go get a drink of water. We're right in the middle of this thing. So I actually, it made me feel like more a part of the whole program, in my personal opinion. So I think, Scottie, over there, they had one more question for you, and then we can wrap it up. Did you guys have one more question?
We don't have a question. We just want to say thank you for being on the call with us. We all did MBF here today, week 2, leg day. And we only have one rack of weights. We only have 1 rack of weights, so these girls had to like pick up heavier weights because there's only 2 10s, 2 15s. So
I love it.
I had 25s.
So she had 25s, so we challenged them with only 1.
I went down to 1.
I love it. And that just reminded me of something, which is, as you guys go through this program, don't be afraid of failure. Like, especially with weight training, as long as your form is on point, I'm not worried if I give you 8 reps to do, let's say, and you only get 6 reps done because you challenged yourself and picked up those heavier dumbbells. A lot of people take this like approach like, oh, but I didn't get those last 2 reps in. And I'm like, but you found that limit for yourself. You pushed yourself. Like, that's amazing. I get excited about that kind of stuff. So, don't be so afraid of failure. Pick up those heavier dumbbells, see what happens. Because if you don't see what happens, that's what I've been talking about, is people have been using the same weights day in and day out from program to program, and they haven't stepped up because they're afraid. What if I can't do all the reps? Great. I want you to get to the point where you feel like you can't do all the reps. I want you to feel what that feels like, and not be discouraged by it, but be encouraged that you have somewhere to go and something to work for. So that just like thought popped in my head when you said that. So I'm glad you guys had to pick up the heavier weights today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Can I say something really quick? Hi, Megan. It's Kim.
Hi.
How are you? I'm still sweaty from your workout this morning because I've been hustling all day. And I wanted to get 100 people in my MBF group. And as of last night, we started day 1 today. I have now 120 people doing MBF with me. And I've had multiple like breakdowns of crying because I've never had a program through Beachbody that's like, everybody's so excited. Everybody loves it. Like, I've never had like such a response. And obviously because, I'm here in Coral Springs. So I think that people, relate to that, but they just love it. They love you. Like, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you and give you a big hug. So we did it. We got to 100. Even more.
You, Kim. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You can see I get all like,
And after this call, I'm finally going to shower because I'm like, I can't do anymore. I'm done signing people up for the moment. But we love it. And like, it's just such an amazing program to promote. You really, really did a great job with it. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll have to do a local workout then.
I would love that. If you can, we would love it.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
So rad. Thank you so much, Megan, for being here. You are amazing. So excited that you're with Beachbody. Like, our family just keeps getting bigger, and you are just like the shining diamond. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing your time with Scottie. Diamonds, Star Diamonds, thank you for being here. Rock Team Cup, rock this program. This program is amazing. Okay, guys, go have a good night. Be good to everybody. Bye.
Thank you guys so much. Bye, guys.